There have been some really bad maps in Call of Duty. Even the best Call of Duty games have bad maps, and we know that. Today, we're going to do the opposite of what we did yesterday, back to back. That's right. Today, we're going to go through COD history from COD 4 all the way through Black Ops 7 and COD Mobile, and I'm going to tell you the worst map in every single game. And yes, we're including COD Mobile, and yes, we are including DLC maps. Again, if you want to see the best map in every Call of Duty, that video went up yesterday. So you let me know in the comments what you think the worst map in COD history is. Drop a like. Remember, I read every single comment on every single video. Thank you for the love yesterday. Thank you for the love on the new profile pic. Trying to freshen things up here in 2026. And COD 4. Bloc. B-L-O-C. Bloc. Okay. I mean, I can't get too mad at Infinity Ward for the bad maps in COD 4 because this was totally uncharted territory. I know that. We literally never played a game like COD 4 before. Obviously, nobody ever made one. So, there were going to be bad maps. They were inevitable, but wow. Bloc was a really bad map. I mean, it was huge. Way too cluttered. It was just way too much going on for a 6v6 game, or even, honestly, a 9v9 ground war lobby. And if you were playing domination here, you could forget about the B flag. It was stuck in the dead center of the map, overlooked by 4 dozen windows that people were sniping from. So, literally, whoever captured the B flag first, they won the match here every single time because recapturing it was borderline impossible. Bloc was just a bad map all around. It was like a Modern Warfare 2019 map 12 years before Modern Warfare 2019 came out. And I remember some domination matches where nobody captured the B flag. Guys, before we move on, Chaos is on Spotify. That's right, all 3 channels. So if you want to watch the Chaos Cinema, where we cover latest leaks and rumors on movies and TV shows, or Chaos Gaming, where we cover everything on other games, or the main channel. If you want to digest your Call of Duty content over on Spotify, we're over there. Link is in the description. Do me a huge favor, guys. If you go over there and you follow me, would you please give me a 5-star rating over there? Trying to get the ratings up over 105 stars. I appreciate you guys. Pin comment as well. World at War. Station. I was going to put Nightfire here, but whenever I say anything bad about that map, I get a handful of people in my comments defending it, saying that that map wasn't actually that bad, even though you couldn't freaking see anything, but whatever. You guys win today. I'm going to give the spot to a map that nobody will defend. Station. Do you remember Station? Probably not. And that's probably a good thing. It was released as a DLC a few months after the game came out. That's right, World at War had DLC, and I don't think anyone ever heard about it or said anything good about it. You were fighting in a bombed out section of a Berlin train station. Had some cool visuals for the time, but the layout was lame for this kind of Call of Duty game. It was way too frantic and crammed up, almost like it was supposed to be part of a larger map. Suppose it was a more experimental time, but Station wasn't very good. I mean, you happy Nightfire defenders. Modern Warfare 2 2009. Derail. Modern Warfare 2 had great all-time maps. Some of the most iconic Call of Duty maps of all time were in this game, but that doesn't mean every map was a banger, and obviously this was not. I mean, nobody liked the map. You shouldn't have. Painfully slow-paced, poorly balanced. The only winning strategy here was to pick one of the patches of high ground and just sit there with a sniper rifle and some claymores and just wait for the game timer to run out. Running around was off the table. I mean, all the vantage points, you couldn't. There was just so many vantage points. Basically, no overhead cover. So, Harriers, Predator missiles, air supports, all the campers' kill streaks that they called in were going to get you. It sucked. Honestly, I have no idea how a game like Modern Warfare 2 had a map like this. The map feels like it goes against everything Infinity Ward was doing with the gameplay at the time. Black Ops 1. I bet most of you don't remember this map. I remember it vividly. Discovery. Yeah. Yeah, if you didn't remember it, you're okay. You're lucky. Now, I love this game, but the DLC maps, they were super inconsistent in terms of quality. I would argue Discovery was the worst of them all. It was based on the Project Nova campaign mission, which was cool. The tie-in definitely had cool visuals, but the flow, it wasn't there. A lot of the map revolved around a bridge that could actually be destroyed, which that was making the flow even worse, and I think Treyarch was expecting us all to completely be blown away that they forgot to program a fun map around the bridge. Discovery was just a very inconsistent experience, and I'm going to call it the worst map in the game. Despite how much I love the game, this was actually kind of a tough decision because there was actually some really bad maps in this game, especially with the DLC. Modern Warfare 3 2011. This is a universal pick. Downturn. Took place in New York after the place gets busted up in World War III. Visuals, pretty impressive for a 2011 game, but the flow was hot garbage because all those random spawn points, corners, nooks, crannies, head glitches, camping spots, dark corners, windows. I probably already said corners. On top of that, the map was almost entirely gray. the palette sucked. It was really hard to see people. Everybody just blended into the walls and streets. It is a perfect masterclass on how not to make a Call of Duty map. I think this was a single least played map in the game. I don't remember a single person ever voting for this in the pregame lobby, ever. Black Ops 2. Aftermath. Black Ops 2, once again, absolute banger maps. There are Black Ops 2 maps that are still getting remade in every single Black Ops game to this day. So it's sometimes easy to forget there were some really bad maps in this game. The obvious example is Aftermath. This map really plays like a campaign mission, and naturally that means the flow is complete garbage. You're running through Los Angeles after the war, and the campaign breaks out. Once again, cool connection, neat setting for a map, but the flow is just all over the place. There's way too many routes to get from place to place, and the spawns, they get really easily confused, which also makes them really easy to manipulate and leaves you spawn trapped for the entire match. I know some people like the map. Well, I guess for search and destroy maybe, and that's fair, but there aren't any respawns that you have to deal with the crappy flow. But in every respawn-based game mode, Aftermath was horrible. Call of Duty Ghosts. Stonehaven. There was some stiff competition for worst map in the game here, unfortunately, and while Stonehaven seems like the easy pick, it's good reason. Ghosts had a ton of really bad maps, but Stonehaven, it's one that everybody remembers is particularly bad, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. I mean, everyone remembers Ghosts for having crappy maps, and yet everyone still agrees Stonehaven's the worst. If you can get the COD community to agree on something, we're there. That's saying a lot. We're unified. It doesn't happen very often. Stonehaven was way too big, way too campy, absolutely squandered the great work of the art team because this is a beautiful map. Every match here was the same. You ran around for 5 minutes looking for enemies, you died from somebody you didn't see coming, you respawned, and you did it again. This is a map where TDM never hit the score limit, ever. Ghost may have had bad maps. The Stonehaven was another level of bad. Who remembers a little Hobbit hole Easter egg, little Hobbit hut or whatever? Advanced Warfare. Instinct. Should have been another universal pick, right? Instinct may have looked really cool with all the giant trees and the indoor vibes if you're a Star Wars fan, but the second you actually started playing on it, you probably hated it. Had way too much open space, and if you used your jetpack at all, you were going to get shot from 5 different directions. Plus, all the trees made it really hard to shoot down UAVs since it was a massive headache to get an angle where you could actually get your rocket launcher to lock onto a UAV, and that's assuming you could stay alive long enough to lock on. Now, I'm not a PC player, but I also heard Instinct had a bunch of weird performance issues on PC's version in Advanced Warfare, which that would just add insult to injury for a bad map. Worst map in the game. I don't know if anybody's actually going to kick back on this one in the comments. Black Ops 3. Rupture. This was one of the DLC maps in Black Ops 3, and it was pretty universally hated by the community, I think. Remake of Outskirts from World at War, that's cool. Already one of the biggest 6v6 maps in COD history, and it was also one of the World at War maps that had drivable tanks. So Treyarch said, you know what? Let's change the tanks to mech suits in order to give you some kind of vehicle to traverse the giant map, but that didn't fix any problems with the map. Camping spots, the flow, the spread out spawns, and the simple fact that 6v6 is way too small for a map this size. And on top of all that, the mech suits, they sucked. They did. They weren't fun to pilot. I don't know if it was just me, but I thought the mech suits were clunky, unsatisfying, slow, especially in a game where everybody had advanced movement and you could just avoid the mech suits altogether if you wanted. Rupture played like a poor man's version of Titanfall. It did. I mean, a really, really poor man. It clashed with the appeal of Black Ops 3 in the first place. And I remember we got to go play it early and we captured it. We're like, mech suits, this is going to be amazing. And then it wasn't. Infinite Warfare. 4. F-O-R-E 4. Pretty sure only like 20 people ever played this map. It was paid DLC in a game that nobody was paying money for, and I guess the concept was cool. Multiplayer map set in a mini golf course. Okay, yeah, why not, right? I guess. Everything I've heard about the map has been negative. I'm pretty sure every person who ever played it hated it. Granted, like I said, only 22 people ever played it, but yeah, I didn't play it. I wanted a good Call of Duty map. I don't know. Maybe I do want a good Call of Duty map set in a mini golf course, but I don't think this was it. COD World War II. Groston Haas. That's right, I'm not going to put Gustav Cannon here because Gustav may have been terrible, but it was fun to be the guy at the top of the map taking pot shots at everybody else. But this one, it was a free DLC map. It was actually a zombies map that Sledgehammer decided to make playable in multiplayer as well. But as you guys know, zombies maps and multiplayer maps, well, guess what? They're entirely different in design. So when you take a zombies map and you put a 6v6 multiplayer lobby in it, the flow was messed up. Now, I heard it was actually pretty fun in zombies mode, but in 6v6 multiplayer, it was not. The layout was terrible. The spawns were atrocious. I mean, it should have been obvious to Sledgehammer because it was a freaking zombies map. It was not designed for multiplayer, so why did they think it would be a good multiplayer map? The lighting, it sucked. The spawns, they sucked. The layout, you got it. It sucked. The whole thing sucked. Black Ops 4. I bag on this every time I can. Jungle flooded. You may have expected me to put Arsenal Sandstorm here since the map was bad, but, well, it was really bad. They deleted it from the game, but honestly, the fact they deleted it kind of makes it better because at least you don't have to play it and there's no chance of joining a match in progress. But Jungle flooded is still very much in Black Ops 4 for some reason, even though absolutely nobody liked it, and it contributes nothing of value to your experience. It literally is Jungle from Black Ops 1 with a bunch of obstructive weather effects and a giant flood that covers half the map and turning everybody in the area into a sitting duck because they have to freaking swim everywhere instead of just running from place to place like a normal person. Honestly, I don't know why Treyarch ever deleted Arsenal Sandstorm, because now we have to ask, why didn't they delete Jungle Flooded? If you establish that you're willing to delete the universally hated maps in the game, you need to explain yourself. Why are you not deleting a different universally hated map in the game? Modern Warfare 2019. Grazna Raid. This was probably the hardest choice in the entire list for me because there are some really bad maps in this game, but ultimately, I settled on the map with literally no redeeming qualities. Yeah, sure, Euphrates Bridge is horrible, but you're up on the bridge. If you are, it can be fun, and sure, Piccadilly's horrible. But if you manage to secure one of the second-story windows, you're probably having fun being that piece of crap camper, right? But on Grazna Raid, there's no redeeming qualities. The map, way too big, way too cluttered. There's way too many rooms and buildings. There was absolutely zero flow. The spawns were terrible. The objectives were placed in really stupid locations. And if you genuinely liked it if you did genuinely like it, then you need to accept the fact that you just don't know what makes a good map for Call of Duty. I'm sorry I said that. That was really hateful. I apologize, but I mean it. Let's see if anybody tries to defend this map in the comments. There's always at least one contrarian on videos like this, but I'm honestly not convinced there was a single person who actually wanted to play this map. It was the worst map in the game. I would argue it's a bottom 5 map in COD history. Black Ops Cold War. Miami. Never before had there been a map with such great vibes and such horrible gameplay together. I still think Miami has the biggest vibes to gameplay gap in COD history, if that's a thing, because this is one of the coolest maps in the entire franchise. But it genuinely has some of the worst gameplay you could ever experience. The flow was horrible. There was way too many random camping spots. The layout was cluttered. And of course, this map takes place at night, so you can barely see what's going on if you're not standing next to a light. It also doesn't help matters that Black Ops Cold War only launched with something like 8 maps in the 6v6 rotation. So when one of them was basically unplayable because of how crap it was, that made it sting. If a COD game launches with 12 or 13 maps and one of them's bad, you don't mind it that much. But when a game launches with 8 maps and one of them's bad as Miami, well, you feel that one. Call of Duty Vanguard. Let's go with Red Star. I mean, it might as well just be a remake of Bloc from COD 4, because it was basically that map with all the same problems. Big open courtyard, way too many patches of high ground, way too many hiding spots, basically impossible to establish any kind of game flow once the fighting starts. If I had a nickel, are nickels still a thing? Pennies aren't, but I think nickels are. If I had a nickel for every time there was a really bad Call of Duty map set in a Russian courtyard, well, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Red Star sucks. Modern Warfare 2 2022, Black Gold. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 2022 has some of the worst maps of all time. I mean, this was kind of a hard pick. Infinity Ward's been pretty unstoppable when it comes to making completely horrible COD maps the last few years, but if I had to pick the worst of the bunch, I would pick Black Gold because Infinity Ward somehow thought it would make the experience better if they turned off all the lights. So not only was the layout campy and boring, but you also had to constantly turn your night vision on and off if you wanted to see anything, which made it even more campy and boring than it probably would have been with normal lighting. If the lights were on, maybe Black Gold would have been a C-tier map, but since the lights were off, it's an F-tier map. It's truly terrible. I'm almost impressed how terrible it is. Modern Warfare 3 2023. Derail. The map was so bad, it gets a spot for 2 games. Honestly, with how many people hated the map back in classic Modern Warfare 2, I'm shocked Sledgehammer brought it back. I mean, I know the whole gimmick of this game was that it launched with all the classic Modern Warfare 2 maps, but did they have to remake this one too? Would anyone been upset if it was gone? It was as bad as it was back in classic MW2. Literally none of the problems with the original version were fixed in the remake. So on one hand, it's a good thing that Sledgehammer didn't add any maps that were worse than this. On the other hand, this map didn't need to be there. Black Ops 6. Lowtown. Feels like something copy-pasted from Modern Warfare 2019, and that is not a good thing in a game that plays as quickly as Black Ops 6. I mean, this game had some of the fastest movement in COD history. Why in the heck were we being told to play on this map that feels like it was designed by Infinity Ward in 2022? Lowtown? Way too big. Way too cluttered. There aren't any parts of it that feel like you're supposed to use Omni movement. I mean, I genuinely think this map was just left over from Modern Warfare 2 2022. And then Treyarch said, you know what? We'll throw it in Black Ops 6 to pad the map list. But it's not only a bad map, it was completely contradictory to the way the game is supposed to be played. Black Ops 7, short and sweet, Cortex. Now, I hear Black Ops 7 players say this map sucks. I tend to agree, but I also think the whole game sucks, so I'm really not the one to ask about this. But yeah, we'll go with Cortex. Worst map in COD history? I don't know. Maybe it's not. And I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just going to move on. COD Mobile. We're going to go with Soldal Harbor. Hope I said that right. COD Mobile is literally the greatest hits. It is the greatest hits Call of Duty game. So you would think that it only included the greatest hits maps, but surprisingly, somebody thought it would be a good idea to remake this harbor map from Modern Warfare 2019, and I want to know whose idea that was. Who looked at all the maps in COD history and said to themselves, yeah, we need to remake that one. Way too narrow, way too campy. The layout makes the spawn super annoying as well because they're almost always way too far from the action, and seriously, why would you remake it? You're telling me there are all-time great maps from the Golden Age that have not been put in COD Mobile, but this one gets a full remake? Come on. There you have it, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope to see you over on Spotify, and I'll see you tomorrow.